Okay, so now that we've talked about the principles in the Constitution like federalism and judicial review, and we've looked at the expressed and implied powers, it's time to put it all together, and we're going to look at 4 recent cases to put it together. I'm also hoping what you're going to see when you look at these 4 more recent cases is an evolution of federal to state power and the court's ruling on those cases that sort of point out that evolution. So at each case, and there's 4 links on this website, you're going to write the case name, you're going to summarize the case's story. Don't get too bogged down in the details of the individual story, because often what is in question is not so much about the person's individual story or case, but rather there's a question about the law involved in this person's case. So summarize the case story so you know this is the one about guns in around schools, but don't get too bogged down in all the details, because that will distract you and confuse you from the constitutional question. So the third thing you're writing after a quick little summary is what law is in question. Are we talking about a state law? What state law? Are we talking about a federal law? What federal law? And then once you have that law found, figured out, what expressed and implied power does Congress use to justify the law? So if Congress has made a law, what implied power are they using? And then what's the expressed power related to that implied power? What did the court rule? So the 5th thing is, what's the court's conclusion? What did they rule about the constitutionality of the law? People here attempted to tell me the conclusion of the story for the individual involved, but what I'm more concerned about is the conclusion for the law involved. Then tell me why you agree or disagree, and which government, federal or state, did the court's decision serve to benefit. And so for this last question here on this slide, think about the evolution of federal power. So we saw with the McCulloch and the Gibbons case that power for the federal government really was stretched, and it opened up for an expansion of federal power by the doctrine of implied powers and the doctrine of national supremacy, and the use of interstate commerce, even in regulating commerce within a state. Not on this slide, but something I do want you to also think about as like an 8th question would be, looking at the court's ruling, do you think the court was using judicial restraint or judicial activism in their decision? Okay. The links are below.